Down to Business, brought to you by the AIB Business Startup Programme, there to support your business. Newstalk 106 to 108.
Now, you're very welcome back to the programme. Have you ever fantasised about running your own business? Well, if you have, we have the series for you. Over the next 8 weeks, we're going to plot out the key things that you need to know if you're setting up a business. From how to succeed, how to change tack. We're going to give you the best advice from Ireland's top experts in our AIB Getting Started series. Now, Joanne Hession, she joins me now to get the ball rolling. And just to introduce Joanne properly, she's an author of Don't Get a Job, Build a Business, and she's the founder of QED Training. And she's very much connected with many aspects of small business, so she's going to be an invaluable asset in this series. So, Joanne, first of all, thank you for coming in. You're very welcome.
Thanks, Bobby.
Now, like all things, let's start at the beginning. I'm out there and I'm thinking maybe I might want to start a business, but that's as much as I've thought about it. What do I do next?
Okay, so, well, firstly, there are really valuable resources out there for starting a business. Ireland is a great place to set up a business. There's a huge amount of information that's out there. And the first thing I would suggest that somebody does is have a look at the websites of their local county and city enterprise boards. Now, I know these are dissolving right at the moment as we speak, but they will be going into LEOs and the websites will be staying there.
Well, could I bring it just back from that? Because before you do that, I think you need to mentally check in yourself. So, you know, working for yourself isn't for everybody. No. So do you not need, before you go to any enterprise board or anywhere, to first of all say, am I prepared for this? Am I happy enough to fly the nest for wherever I'm working, take the risk, have all the loneliness, all the worry, all the sleepless nights? And firstly, am I up for that is my first question. And secondly, then, what's my idea?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, there are some very hard questions you need to ask yourself. You're absolutely right. It isn't for everybody. In fact, there are a huge number of really good business ideas that are out there, but not everybody will set up those business ideas. It has to sort of fit your skin. But I think before you set up, you've got to ask yourself, why are you setting up? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because starting a business for yourself and running a business, especially in the first few years, is incredibly hard work. I mean, you know that, Bobby. You put in long hours.
Down my back.
The long hours. It takes a lot of hard work to get it started up. So you need to be asking yourself, why am I doing this?
One thing I often say to people, Joanna, it just brings me back there when you say it about starting up a business. I believe personally that when you start up a business, that there's probably a period of 2 to 3 years where it has to take precedence over everything else in your life. And I mean your wife, your kids, your social life. And that's... I remember thinking that, am I up for that? And because I think there's a period, now it doesn't last forever, but there's a period where you have to be at every piece of your business, involved in every aspect of your business, and driving it 24/7.
Yeah, and I always consider it as a false freedom, because I set up my first business in my 20s and I thought I'm free, and I'm going to be setting up, but it's a false freedom because you spend all of your time thinking about that business. I mean, you're walking down the street, you're seeing billboards, and you're thinking you could do something similar, or you're getting ideas for ads, or you're getting ideas how to promote it, or other ways that you can research the market. It absolutely is all encompassing, and you need to make sure that whoever your partner is, your spouse, or if you have children, that they're on board with you if you are going to set up a business.
Because again, after a 16-hour day to come home and get grief, well, why weren't you? I remember missing one of my second daughter's Holy Communion. I was 45 minutes late for it, and I remember sheepishly arriving into the back of the church and my wife being absolutely furious with me, and I was just saying sorry, but it was all okay. We were all happy after that. Let's talk a little bit about the idea, because I think one of the things that I've heard you say is that a large proportion of entrepreneurs don't create new ideas themselves, but they alter an existing idea or expand an idea. So your new business or idea doesn't have to be revolutionary, but it does have to be different.
Yes, it does. And it's not just that it has to be different but it has to meet perhaps a different need. And it's all about meeting a need. I mean, I thought for years when I was a youngster, I was always going to set up my business, and I thought I'd get this eureka idea, this new idea. But it wasn't like that. It's about fulfilling needs of customers that are out there. So there may be products that are already out there, but they just may not be fulfilling all of the needs. And it's about looking for those and tapping into where people have complaints or problems and pains, and altering products and services and meeting new needs.
So we have an idea. We need to now assess if it's any good. So that equals RESEARCH, research.
Yeah, and actually, you know, there are so many things that somebody in startup mode can think about. I mean, they're thinking about their logo, they're thinking about their website, their Facebook page, they're thinking about, will I work from home or will I work in a premises? We're thinking, will they hire people? Loads of things that you can think about. But it's very important that you focus, and you focus on three key things. And the three key things that tell you if an idea is any good is, one, is there any demand for it? If there is no demand, and it might be the most beautiful product that you can make, it might be the greatest service that you can provide, but if nobody needs it, there is no business there. So that's the first thing. You've got to make sure that there's demand. Secondly, it's got to make money. Now, it's quite interesting, Bobby, because when we ask people in startup courses, you know, are they in it for the money? Often they'll say they're not. Many will say that they are, but often people will say we're not in it for the money. But business must make money. Yeah. If you don't want the money, give it to charity. That's fine. If you don't want to keep it. But you need to make it. So it has to make profit. So that's the second thing. And the third thing about somebody that has a good idea, they must have a plan for it. Otherwise, they'll start off, they might get a bit of traction at the beginning, but it won't have any long-term sustainability. So there must be a good plan for it. And
could I suggest that plan doesn't need to be 100 pages long? It can be a much shorter, but it has to be written by the entrepreneur. It has to be, you can't outsource it or use a template from Google. It really has to be the heart and soul of the business, the plan.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can use templates that will help you, all right. But no, you're right. You absolutely must write the plan yourself, and you must do some, if not all, of the research yourself.
And just a couple of caveats around research. Some of us make the mistake, and again, most people setting up a small business aren't hugely cash rich. So they might make the mistake of going to family and friends in order to get some qualitative research done. And, you know, friends and family don't want to see you fail. They don't want to see to bust your dream. So I'm just saying that there's a caveat there. You need to be real careful about asking fellas in the pub, what do you think of this idea?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest mistake that we see in people starting a business is that they don't do enough research. They don't do enough quality research. You've really got to get your hands dirty. I totally agree. Don't ask friends and family, except though I have a husband that is not necessarily entrepreneurial. So if ever I want to see if an idea is good, I do run it by him, because he's very conservative about things. So he's a good one to run things by. He does, yeah, exactly. So I find out all those angles from him, and that's a good way to do it. But no, research is absolutely key. You've got to get your hands dirty. I'll tell you an example of somebody that I saw that did really good research. There was a woman, it could be 10 years ago now, and she was setting up a haberdashery business all around the time that all the houses were being built and so on. And she was about to take a lease in a premises in Maynooth. And she was all excited. The premises was exactly what she wanted and so on. And we pushed her on the research side. Did she really know who was walking past that shop? Did she really know who was going to come in and out? Because she wasn't going to have a big marketing budget that she could spend. So she actually sat outside the retail premises for a couple of days in her car, noting what kind of people walked past the shop. And she was down the end of Maynooth that had a lot of students with the university, and she decided she was at totally the wrong end of Maynooth. Now that is really good. Get your hands dirty. You can't go wrong with that.
I've stood outside shops and counted people and looked at who's there, and you need to do it at so many different times. Like, is there weekend business there? Is it an early start? Is there a late evening business?
Yeah.
It's the only way you'll do it.
Absolutely.
And those clickers are great.
Fantastic.
You can just stand there and click the people passing by.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Research doesn't have to be overly scientific. It really, and if you're in the retail business, it's about if you can work out some percentage of the number of people that are passing, that you can get them into your shop. It's a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about the numbers, because again, some people setting up a business will possibly shy away from the numbers on the basis that they are so wrapped up in the idea or the concept. So we're talking here about, sales effectively first. So what am I selling? How much am I selling it for? And what can I sell every week in order to pay the bills?
Yeah.
So look, talk to me about the numbers and how people should actually have targets around selling and achieving targets.
Yeah, well, look, the numbers tell you everything about your business. You've got to, what I say to people is, if you can count the money in your pocket, you can do the numbers for your business. It's adding, it's just knowing what money is coming in, what money is going out. The numbers are extremely important to get very familiar with. So you've got, once you do some market research and you get an idea of how many people might be interested in buying your product or service or need your product or service, then you have to do what are guesstimates, guesstimates on what your sales forecasts are going to be. And then you work out what your costs are going to be, what your likely costs are going to be, and you subtract one for the other. And you need to have, it's money in, money out, and it's as simple as that. Yeah. But there are lovely templates that you can use to do it, but you need to keep on doing it. Once you run the numbers first time on your business, you might end up changing a price, or you might end up adding something else into your business, or adding another attribute to the product or to the service, and that's going to change the money side. You need to keep on running the numbers all the time in your business. The great thing in it as well, Bobby, is that, you might want to start a business, you might want to make $1 million in the first year, and I might want to set one up, and I might be thinking...
I was focusing on would I survive 3 months. That was for my first year was I going to go bust, was what I woke up with every day. Yeah. And how do I actually survive here?
But I suppose what I'm saying is that you need to get a really good picture in your head of what kind of business do you want? Do you want a business that you don't mind in the first 3 years? Because it is quite normal in the first 3 years that you are just in survival mode. And, if you can turn a profit in that time, that's fantastic. But running the numbers quickly helps you to make decisions about your business, because right from day one, right from those first few weeks of research, you can start to see, do you know what? If we keep going down the road of researching this product, we're actually never going to make any money on it unless we export to the UK as well, where there are 67 million instead of the nearly 5 that are in Ireland. So, all these questions, the finances churn up loads and loads of questions for you when you're starting a business, and they really help you to make decisions. They're invaluable.
What about, and again, I think you've said it, if you're to fail fast, or changing the idea, or amending the idea. In other words, this isn't working, so either close it down or else tweak it, change it, so that it becomes... And lots of businesses start off in one place and end up somewhere completely differently.
It is very important right at the startup stage to think about that. Failing, you need to have a gated process. So you need to say to yourself, right, in the next 5 days, I'm going to find out how much traction, or I'm going to really go and talk to every customer, every potential customer that I can possibly talk to. And at the end of those 5 days, I'm going to make a decision whether or not to change the product or service, or whether or not to keep going with the same idea. That's a gate. Okay, so you need to keep setting for yourself these gates. And if you get to a gate and you go, look, I'm actually not going to pass through these gates, these customers don't want it, that idea has failed, change it, tweak it, twist
back,
it.
Whatever.
Exactly. And keep moving.
And just to say, Joanne, that we will be talking about tweaking and changing tack and all that in a later programme in the series. And just to remind listeners, I am talking to Joanne Hession. She's the author of Don't Get a Job, Build a Business. And this is our 8-week AIB Getting Started series. Now, just a couple of other things that we need to cover, Joanne. Planning for success. I think you say it costs €20 to register a business name, but often, and this comes back, I suppose, to the business plan that we talked about earlier. A business plan needs to be maybe different for different audience. Like the bank may need to see one version of it. A new customer might need to see another. You might use another part, but it's just different versions of the same plan. Is that fair to say, or is that absolutely a bad idea?
No, I totally agree. And you need a version for yourself that's warts and all. The business plan is extremely important. I really think that you don't need a beautifully professionally bound business plan, but you do need to work through the different questions that are in a business plan.
So that's really the first week about setting the business up, getting the idea mobile, starting the business plan, doing the research. So we've got 8 more of these to go, Joanne, and I'm really, really looking forward to this. And just to say to our listeners that Joanne's notes are going to be up online. You'll find them at newstalk.ie /down to business. So Joanne Hession, author of Don't Get a Job, Build a Business, and founder of QED Training, thank you very much for joining us.
Great, thanks Bobby.
Also coming up over the series, the 8-week series, we're going to be looking at corporate identity, the importance of social media, maintaining motivation when things are going wrong, networking, promoting the business. It's going to be great, so I'm really looking forward to it. Big thanks to Joanne for all that. Lots more coming up after these.
Down to Business, brought to you by AIB and the Business Zone in the Lab, Ireland's first digital banking store, on Newstalk 106 to 108.